Hey, we're live. Thank you for joining, everyone. Let's check the audio. Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay, can everyone hear me? Yeah, sounds good. Let me just reposition the camera a touch. Emma, can you just shut those back doors? You darling. Okay, we seem to have a helicopter fly past right now over the garden, which is really helpful. Okay, welcome to another Sunday evening live stream here in the UK at 7 p.m. and I think this is the 14th or 15th live stream in a row. I do intend doing these every Sunday evening if possible. Thanks for joining, really appreciate you guys being here, and I'm really excited to bring you another Father's Day special live stream here in the GFS gallery. I've had a great day. My daughter's here with me. I've got my two stepsons and we've had a lovely time. We've just been to my stepfather's house and family, and we've had a lovely meal, a few drinks, etc. And yeah, it's been a great day. Really loved it. And I hope you guys have had a lovely day too. And shout out to all the fathers out there with kids. It's a special day for us. So let's celebrate that. Other things that's been happening this week. All the tanks are looking good. Actually, because it's Father's Day, I spent some quality time on my own and with my daughter maintaining all my home aquascapes. You can see a photo that I took of Florence, my daughter, actually cleaning the algae out of my cichlid tank this morning. Yeah, all the tanks are looking great. This is looking particularly good. Let's talk about this, the Aquascape 1200. So I installed the Chihiros RGB Vivid 2s about 2 weeks ago now, and the growth of the plants has been phenomenal. I've never seen growth like it, and you know, in a way I'm not surprised. They are more powerful, but I didn't anticipate how fast they would grow. You know, I've kept the CO2 quite stable. I've been doing the frequent maintenance and dosing the fertilizers as I was, but the overall growth has been really impressive. And I've kind of fiddled around with the spectrum, because you can control the color temperature and the spectrum, etc., from the app on my phone. And I think I've dialed it in to my own taste now. I don't know if it looks good in the screen. I can see it now. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. I'll do an update video on the lights and the long-term performance of them, but also the scape as well. I was really tempted to, you know, do something from scratch with this, maybe even turn it into a cichlid tank, because the cichlids are growing really big in the Oase Highline 175. But I just love living with this scape now. I love looking at it. You know, a couple of times during this last week, there's a sofa just behind where the camera is now, and I've laid there and I've just been staring at this tank, and I've actually had a couple of little power naps during the day, just zoning out to this aquascape. So, you know, it's one of those things, when you've got an aquascape, part of you wants to push yourself, try something new, create new content, but there's another part of you that just wants to live with it and enjoy it for what it is. And that's where I'm at the moment. You know, I'm really enjoying seeing all the plants grow to the surface at the back. That Monte Carlo here is just completely smothering this stone. And I'm really enjoying this really like super dense plant growth. Everything's really healthy. There's a little bit of algae in there. That's to be expected with the increase in lighting, but it's not a problem. You know, I challenge anyone to see any algae in there from the video right now. But the fish are happy, and yeah, more importantly, I'm happy with it. So I'm going to keep it going as it is for now. Yeah. Anything else that happened? What else has happened this week? I had a really bad ear infection. So yeah, that's kind of put a little bit of a stumbling block on my productivity. but it's better now and I'm feeling almost 100%. So that's no problem. Yeah, it's all good. So, as usual, every Sunday morning I put a question out on the Instagram stories asking you guys for your top questions, and I pick out five of those questions to answer during this live stream. It gets the ball rolling, and then we'll go into a bit of a Q&A and maybe a bit of a ramble later on. So I've got those questions to hand right now. Thanks to everyone for posting those questions. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, if you don't have an Instagram account already, then do consider creating one, even if it's just to follow other creators. You don't have to create your own content. If you're not a big fan of Instagram in general, then that's okay. But you can, you don't have to. This is the really interesting thing about social media. You don't have to be bombarded with all of this content. You can curate what you see. So, I see a lot of commentary, people sort of, announcing that they're going to quit social media because they find it too intense. But you're in control of it. You're in control of what you consume. So, a good example is Instagram. If you just create an account, make it private, don't create any content, but just follow people that you really kind of want to follow. You might find inspirational or educational or entertaining. You might be really into, I don't know, arts and crafts, or you might be into model airplanes. You can just follow, that specific genre and not be kind of bombarded with all this kind of other, news activity, etc., that a lot of people are finding a bit overwhelming at the moment. So, what I'm saying is, if you're not on Instagram already, then create an account and you can follow, things that you want to follow. Maybe like me, George Farmer Studios. I post probably at least one post every day at the moment, and you can see, my daily kind of activity with aquascaping, what's going on in my tanks around the house. That's pretty much it at the moment because I'm not going outside the house. But if and when I start to travel again, you'll see, obviously when I'm traveling. And I do some retrospective stuff as well. Maybe do some throwbacks to aquascapes and activities that I've done in the past as well. So do consider jumping on over on Instagram. It's a really good tool for inspiration. If you're a budding aquascaper and you want to see some inspirational aquascapes, then it's a really good tool. So, use it for what you want to use it for, and don't be afraid of it. That's kind of my top advice there. So, with that in mind, let's jump on over to the Q&As. I have 5 great questions, loads of great questions, probably over 100, and I unfortunately have to kind of filter them down to 5, otherwise we'll be here all night just answering Instagram questions. So the first one is from Justin Brown. Thanks for your question, Justin. Your 1200 is looking amazing. Thank you very much, Justin. What is the RHS poster on the side of the tank? That's a really good question. So I'm just going to move the camera so you can see exactly what we're talking about. I'll probably just take the camera off the tripod. Excuse the vibrations and the noise. So this is the RHS poster here. So this is really interesting. So the RHS is the Royal Horticultural Society. So this is quite a big thing in the UK. It's kind of sponsored by the Queen. It's sponsored by, the highest kind of form of organisation in the UK. And yeah, I was invited basically to create some aquascapes for the urban garden show. So they thought it'd be a really cool idea to show off aquascaping, and that's what I did. And my wife and I went down and we had a little stand where we showed off some live aquascapes, and we also did a workshop with some mason jars, just creating these like little mini, almost like terrariums. They weren't terrariums, they're actually designed to be filled with water. But that's kind of the easiest way to describe them. So that's what we did. And for me, this was a real big thing. This was a real big deal because it was fulfilling my mission of promoting aquascaping to a bigger audience. And, you know, it's quite easy to talk about aquascaping with other aquarium hobbyists. So to have the opportunity to talk about aquascaping to a bigger audience, you know, people that haven't necessarily even considered that you can keep, you know, beautiful aquarium plants underwater in an aquascape. This is a brand new concept to a lot of people. So to have that opportunity to go down to an exhibition down in London, it was actually in a beautiful old Victorian halls, absolutely massive, and there was loads of great people down there, and we had a really good fun. And it was hard work, of course, taking live aquascapes down to anything and moving them around and setting them all up and making it all look great is always hard work, of course, but it was definitely worth it. And it was a real privilege to be able to show off aquascaping to this new audience. So that's what that RHS poster was about. Thank you for the question, Justin. Let's go over to the next one. Noah Batstat, I remember you from last week's questions. You do have a knack of asking these really great questions. He asks, what are the biggest myths about having aquariums? So this is a really interesting one because in my time as a planted aquarium enthusiast and aquascaping kind of professional, I've come across so many myths in my time, and I think it's really important to address a few because it can kind of, the thing is with myths, just by the nature of them being a myth, they're not true, of course. And they can potentially hold a lot of people back because they'll read something, they'll take it to be the truth, they'll take it to be a reality, and actually it isn't necessarily, and that can really hold you back in your hobby. So I think it's really important to address a few myths. And I think actually one of the kind of reasons, one of the stepping stones, if you like, to my success in air quotes is that I actually confronted some of these myths quite publicly in when I was writing for magazines. And you know, one of the biggest ones was nitrates and phosphates cause algae in planted aquariums. So that was a really big one, and it was something in the UK. It was still really a really big. It's sort of taken as fact, but I was reading posts from America from guys like Tom Barr on the Barr Report. I was on a lot of American forums like Aquatic Plant Central, plantedtank.net, and these guys were actually deliberately dosing nitrates and phosphates to feed the plants and not getting any algae. And actually the plants were growing better, and because the plants are growing better, you'll get even less chance of algae. So that was a big myth that I kind of, in my own mind, busted, myth busting. You know, nitrates and phosphates don't cause algae, and now you'll get, you know, loads and loads of all-in-one liquid fertilizers that actually contain nitrates and phosphates. So that was a big myth. Other myths are, there's a lot of contentious topics with myths because depending on the kind of genre of fish keeping you're entering into, those myths can apply, but it's quite unique. When you're talking about like a healthy planted aquarium system, it's actually a very different system to a kind of regular fish tank when there's no aquarium plants, because what's happening is the aquarium plants are actually acting as a huge part of that biological filtration. So with that in mind, you know, some of the myths would be you have to fishlessly cycle your aquarium with an ammonia source, or you have to, you know, add really hardy fish to cycle your filter. Well, you know, in a heavily planted tank, a healthy planted tank, you can cycle the entire system just by using those plants, because the plants are actually taking in a load of the ammonia, nitrites and nitrates. You know, they'll use all of that as nitrogen source. And nitrogen is like the second most important nutrient for a plant. You know, the primary nutrient is carbon, which they get from carbon dioxide, or some cases like bicarbonate. So that was that's a big myth, you know, that an aquarium needs to be fishlessly cycled, or, you know, have the fish cycle the aquarium. But actually, you can get the plants to do that, and that's actually a topic that not a lot of people talk about so much, in terms of the plants doing the cycling for you. So that's another myth. Let's talk about one more myth about the hobby. Water changes. So there's a big kind of thing that you should do, you know, 10%, 25%, maybe once a week, or maybe twice, you know, once every 2 weeks, because any water change is going to, you know, change the water chemistry considerably. But, you know, since I've been on lockdown, I've been doing 2 or 3, you know, 75% plus water changes a week in here. Your pistogrammas are breeding, the cherry shrimp are breeding, the plants are growing like mad. I've got 0 algae issues. Everything is just super healthy. And I can't explain to you the exact science behind that, why that is, but I know it works. And I know the more water changes I do, the bigger those water changes are, the better. Now, there is a caveat there. If your starting water chemistry is X and you do a huge water change with Y, and X and Y is hugely different, then that might be an issue. But because I'm doing so many, and they're so frequent and they're so large, actually the water chemistry by default is going to stay relatively stable. So that I think that is why I have, you know, having great success at the moment with my aquariums at home. You know, I'm going to digress a little bit, but, you know, we've all been on lockdown probably. A lot of us, unless we're key workers, a lot of us are staying at home more, and that's given me the opportunity. And I've employed my stepson Harrison and actually my daughter Florence this morning to help me out with aquarium maintenance, and we've been doing more and more of these water changes. And honestly, you know, I've been a hobbyist for nearly 20 years, and I've never been part of so many water changes, and that is the difference in the health of everything is just incredible. So that's another myth that I would kind of suggest needs busting, is water changes are actually a really good thing. The more you do, the more frequent they are, the better. So let's move on to the next question. Thank you so much for that question, Noah Batat. Noob Dude Scaper, happy Father's Day, pal. What do your kids think of my hobby? Do I think they'll get hooked? I don't think they'll get hooked. They're not super interested in the tanks. They just kind of see them as part of the furniture. But I think a more important thing for me is the fact that they can see me earning, you know, having a successful career in something I'm passionate about, which isn't necessarily part of like regular industry. You know, they've seen me convert my hobby into a full-time career. And for me, that's more important than them being into the hobby themselves. So the lessons that they may learn from this path that I've taken is more important than the actual aquariums themselves, if that makes sense. You know, I think they enjoy seeing nice aquariums in the home. Maybe they take it for granted because, you know, ever since I've lived in this house, we've always had beautiful aquariums. So it's not like, you know, just a little bit of kind of private backstory. I've lived with my wife now for about 5 or 6 years, and my stepsons here have lived here a lot longer. So they when I came to the home, I brought in some aquariums and made them look beautiful. So they kind of associated me, I guess, with beautiful aquariums, and I think that they just kind of take it for granted, because they just, ever since, like I said, ever since I've been in this home, we've always had beautiful tanks here. And it's kind of the same with my daughter. Obviously, before I lived here, I lived with my daughter with my ex-wife, and we always had beautiful aquariums then. So any time that the children have been living with me, there's always been beautiful tanks here. So I guess they've kind of taken that for granted, and I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, if and when they want to maybe have their own aquariums, they'll kind of know where to come for advice, or obviously I'll help them out if they want me to. But yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, it's an interesting one. But yeah, I'm sure they love them. We don't actually talk about it that much because they're just part of the furniture for me. You know, they're part of my work, and the kids just see it as part of my work. Which in a way I guess is a little bit of a shame because I don't actually see them as a beautiful kind of part of a hobby or an ornament. But yeah, when they grow into adulthood and they move into their own living space, and maybe they want an aquascape, they'll maybe move into a house or a flat or an apartment, and there probably won't be an aquarium there already, and then they might miss it because they're used to living with it all the time. So, you know, who knows what will happen. Yeah, but great question. Thank you, Noob Dude Scaper. Okay, next question. WA Scaper, what advice would I give to a hobbyist wanting to grow their passion into a career? Wow, this is a long one. I'm actually going to reposition the camera in front of the aquarium because I really need a drink of water. Just bear with me a second. I will be back very, very shortly. Please stay with us. There we go. I'll just leave that there for you guys. Unplug. Okay, here we are again. Hopefully you can hear me. God, look a bit, oh dear. Okay, good. Audio's good. Okay, let's go back to the question. Sorry guys, I have to apologise. It's Father's Day. I had a few drinks earlier, so if my voice isn't so good, that's why. What advice would I give to a hobbyist wanting to grow their passion into a career? And I did actually have a few similar questions to this on the Instagram story this morning, so hopefully it kind of covers all of the other questions as well. I can only kind of speak from my own perspective, but number one is just be passionate, just keep that passion going, and just work really, really hard, and don't be afraid to work for free. Exploit all the social media, all the free stuff that you can. You know, you've got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, so you can get your material out there for free. But the kind of how do I say, the challenge with that is that everyone has the same opportunity. So if you want to be competitive, you have to stand out from the crowd. So you have to create great content, you have to tell good stories, you have to be consistent, authentic, and work really, really hard. And I wouldn't give up. If you have a kind of secure income already, a financial kind of security, don't give that up, and just do the aquascaping or the planted aquarium, whatever, as a side hustle, and just try to kind of gradually build up that side hustle to the point where you can shift over, you know, from your full-time employment and then just transfer it over quite seamlessly. That's kind of what I did. There's so many different routes to success, but I think if you kind of use those kind of rules, you know, work hard, stay authentic, consistent, high quality content, Try to build a network as well. That's really important. So reach out to folk in the same industry. Try to build up a real kind of strong network of friends, business contacts, colleagues, and maybe put yourself out there and work for free. Working for free is a contentious subject because it kind of maybe in some people's perception could devalue your worth. But in a niche industry like aquascaping, it could be worthwhile. Maybe go to your local store and say, this is what I can do. I can create a beautiful aquarium for you guys. You could maybe offer the opportunity to do a live workshop, or even just behind the scenes after closing time, create a display aquarium for them. Film it, take photographs of it during the process, and publish that on your social media channels. There's loads of opportunity for you now, more than ever with the kind of prolific nature of social media, and more kind of brands, more and more stores are embracing social media. So that's another opportunity. Grow your social media to a point where you can regard yourself as, in air quotes, a bit of an influencer, and then you can go to a store, you can approach a brand and say, look, I have X amount of followers, let me do this for you, and I'll tag you in these posts, and you're gonna get a bigger audience. You as the kind of guy, you're gonna get a better reach and build up your portfolio. You're going to build your experience and just gradually build it up from there. I don't think there's no kind of magic formula as far as I know. All of the successful YouTubers, creators, influencers, aquascapers that I know have got there through hard work. There's no other way around it. You just have to work really hard. But you can work hard and you can work efficiently. That's a big thing, is making sure the work that you're doing is adding the value in the right places at the right time. And knowing that kind of comes with experience as well. So you could get lucky and you could have a video go viral, or you could get a big brand approach you and you can catapult yourself into into these bigger kind of audiences. But yeah, that's basically it. So stay authentic, hard work, consistent, high quality storytelling. Maybe offer your work for free to start with until you can build a portfolio. Networking, establish a really strong network, and yeah, have fun as well. That's really important. You've got to enjoy what you're doing and stay passionate, stay enthusiastic, and then the rewards will come. It just takes time. I started the hobby in 2002, and I only became successful in inverted commas again. I don't like to use that term, but it's only in the last 4 years or so, So that's a long journey. That's 12 plus years of working really, really hard. A lot of stuff behind the scenes, a lot of the stuff unnoticed, but that's what it takes. Every vast majority of successful entrepreneurs, business people, artists, creators, you actually as a consumer only see, that final kind of couple of percent of that journey. They've taken years and years and years to get to that point. So yeah, don't expect overnight success. If you get it, then fair play, you got lucky. But just put in the hard work and you'll get there eventually, hopefully. So great question. Thank you, WA Scaper. Craig Smar 86. Have I considered a saltwater planted tank using macroalgae? Yes, I have, and I actually did one. And I did one for Practical Fish Keeping magazine. it was about 10 years ago now. I scaped a Fluval Roma 125, I think. And I used a couple of islands of live rock and I just attached loads of macroalgae to that. I had about 5 Banggai cardinal fish and it was great. And it was a step-by-step feature in Practical Fish Keeping magazine. I think you can see it now online. If you Google George Farmer planted reef aquarium or planted marine tank or something like that, you'll probably see some results there. So thank you for that question, Craig Smart 86. I'll jump over to the live chat now and then let's see how everyone is doing. Okay, we've got some super chats. If the mods could kindly let me know any super chats I've missed. I've just seen one from Deepak Sahi, who is my #1 super chat friend right now. Every week he super chatted. Happy Father's Day, George. How to measure right amount of light, assuming it's a full spectrum light, ONF, Nano Plus. Height from the tank intensity. Is it a hit and trial formula? Yes, that's an easy one to answer. Lighting is so complicated because, like you kind of alluded to in your question, Deepak, there's so many variables. You know, how far away that light is from the tank, how deep the tank water is, how clear the water is, how much circulation's in there, how much CO2 you have, how much nutrients you have, the plants that you want to grow. There's so many variables. You can't say, is this medium, low, high lighting? It's all basically, if you have a high quality light system, good CO2 injection, good nutrients, good circulation, good levels of maintenance, good amount of plants in there and are healthy to start with, then it almost becomes irrelevant, the amount of light. There has to be a minimum light threshold that you have to pass before the lights can grow. But like I said, if you have a high quality light system, then you're almost guaranteed that to be fine. You know, I want to pull some figures for you because it's a bit unfair for me to just kind of give you this kind of broad answer. I've written a book lately. I don't know if you guys know, but I did actually come up with some figures. The PAR, the photosynthetic active radiation level, is really important, but not a lot of people can test for that. You need to either buy a really high cost product that you can kind of stick underwater and it can actually test the light, or you can buy something like a Senai Reef, which will give you light measurements as well. But other than that, the kind of power that the light is giving, consuming, sorry. So in LED terms, I think you want about, I'm trying to remember from the top of my head, it's around 0.2 watts of LED light, 0.2 watts of LED light per litre. Is that right? So that's going to be 5 watts per, yes. 0.2 watts of LED light per litre is going to be plenty of light to grow anything, assuming that you have good CO2, good nutrients, good circulation, good plant health and good maintenance. Yeah. Thanks for the question, mate. Appreciate it. Okay, next one. We've got Orby Orbs, another regular super chat. I remember you from last week, mate. Thank you very much. When having algae in high-tech tank, how to diagnose what lights for CO2 to adjust first when making the first tweak? How long before making another tweak? Equilibrium is hard. I feel for you. Equilibrium is hard, but the question is very wise. You've got a good grasp already. I can tell that just by the way you've composed your question. Just change one thing at a time. And the first thing you need to change is the lighting. So keep your fertilizers and your CO2 stable. Just a caveat there, try to get your CO2 as near to 30 parts per million as possible and keep that stable. You could use a drop checker or you can test for it in other ways, just Google that. Keep your fertilizers stable. ideally you want to be dosing fertilizers every day, a comprehensive fertilizer, and then adjust your light. Now, what I will say is, if you start off with your aquarium with a large amount of good quality plants, you have a good amount of light, good amount of CO2, all the rest of it, perform plenty of water changes, then you're almost guaranteed to succeed. You know, I've used this kind of same methodology for dozens of aquascapes, hundreds of aquascapes now probably, dozens of clients, some of which have never even kept an aquarium before, and they're growing high energy, you know, tanks not dissimilar to this, from their first attempt, because they're just following this methodology. But yeah, just adjust one thing at a time. And the lighting, it's worth reiterating that the lighting is the driving force behind everything. The more light you have, the more the plants want to grow, the more CO2 they'll need, the more nutrients they'll need, the more waste they produce, and the more water changes you need to do. If you dial back the lighting, then everything else can be kind of dialed back as well. The risk of dialing back your light too much is that some more demanding plants will struggle. So if you're a beginner, start off with easy plants that don't need a lot of light, start off with low light, and then go from there. Hopefully that answers your question, Orby Orbs. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Mark Dorr, thanks for the $4.99 super chat. My wife will love you for this one. Hello mate, here's a £5. Go to Primark for a new shirt. Yeah, thanks mate. This is my wife's favourite shirt. And it's Father's Day. Disrespectful. Richard Chapman, £5 super chat. Thank you so much. Do I clean the glass behind the plants? How do I keep it all algae free? Yes, I do. I use a Danilei Cleanator, which is like an algae sponge with like a wire wool on the surface. And that's really great for cleaning like this really stubborn algae. And I clean behind the plants. I just get behind there with my hand. The great thing about suspended lighting is that you can work all around the tank quite easily. So that's what I do. Okay, we've got another one. ADM. Hi George, was last week's £200 super chat a slip of the finger or the real deal? A very generous but not at all undeserved contribution. Thanks for the question, mate, and thanks for the super chat. It was, I don't think the guy will mind me saying it was actually an accident. He meant to donate £2, but he accidentally went to 200. I think he's getting a refund from Google. So yeah, I was a bit taken aback. It was a massive surprise. The super chat, it's an interesting one, the super chats, because it's always awkward, like asking, you're kind of basically asking for someone for money to pay you, which is always a bit thingy, because it's not the reason I do these live streams. But that said, you know, we are on lockdown, you know, as clients. So that's obviously taken a huge hit. So the super chats are really grateful. But again, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or just a personal values thing. I do feel awkward asking for super chats, but at least it highlights your question in the stream, where I can hopefully definitely answer your question. So, you know, that's quite a comfortable thing for me. You know, that's why I can say, you know, with authenticity, you know, if you want your question answered, then please do drop a super chat, because it will absolutely appear in the stream and you'll definitely get your question answered. And even if I do happen to miss it, I know Candy or Lizzie or Radu or Jen will point it out to me and I can definitely get your question answered. So yeah, it was a slip of the finger, unfortunately. You know, it would have been nice to have that big super chat. It's funny because I thought to myself, oh, that will pay for something. What happened? Oh, that was it. There's a funny story for you. Windscreen. Yeah, Emma's just reminded me. So we're in the middle of doing some home improvements. You know, lockdown is brilliant, isn't it? You know, we can focus on our home more. this needs doing, that needs doing. So with that in mind, we had this massive coffee table that we were going to give away to someone else. And so with that, I put it in the boot of my car. I put the boot down. I've got a Honda Civic, so it's got this really long kind of rear windscreen. And unfortunately, the table just protruded just above the line of where the windscreen wanted to press down. So I pushed it down, and I was like, oh, it's not going. It's just going to go, it's just going to go. Kept pushing it, and then boosh, literally the windscreen smashed, it exploded into a million pieces. I shit myself, I can't say that, it's a child-friendly channel. I crap myself, already suffered from PTSD because of bomb disposal, but this massive explosion of glass everywhere. And this like table just lying there looking at me, and I was just, oh. So I spent like half an hour just sweeping up all this broken glass, rang the local windscreen repair guys, got it all sorted out, but it cost me a lot of money. And I remember thinking, oh, that super chat's going to help pay for it wouldn't have actually covered, it was £400 to repair this windscreen. So obviously it only covered half of it, but at least it was a proportion towards it. So anyway, I'm digressing, and a little bit of an insight to my the challenges that we go through here. A windscreen. So it's the windshield. If you're from the United States, so the rear windshield, and in a Honda Civic, it's really big, and it's got like heating units in there, and it's all fancy. So that's £400 or about $600. So yeah, that was expensive. Hope it was a nice table. Yeah, cheers. Okay, got missed super chats here, guys. Thank you so much. From Maddie Wilkie, £10. Thank you so much, Maddie. That's very generous. Hi, George. Please, can you explain how to cycle a new planted tank? Do I need to be adding ammonia to start the cycle? No, you don't. So, what I would do, Maddie, is plant very heavily, ideally with a big proportion of those plants being fast-growing plants. And then plant it really heavily, hopefully have a decent substrate, ideally like a soil substrate like a tropical aquarium soil. Add liquid fertilizers after the first week or so, do plenty of water changes. Don't add any livestock just now, just keep it going for a week or so. When you start to see new plant growth, that means those plants are going to be using ammonia, they're going to be using nitrogen source. So you can start to add to your fish. And you can rest assured that any kind of ammonia that those fish are producing, those plants can use up as well. So gradually stock your fish up till you get to your final quantity. I'm always a bigger fan of understocking. Aquascaping is about the visual balance of the fish and the plants together. So don't necessarily just, you might read some guidelines about, X amount of litres or gallons you can add, X amount of fish. I don't go by that rule. I go by the visual aesthetic, and normally it's less is more. You look in this tank, you don't really see the fish that much. I can't see any right now, in fact. But that's okay, because the plants look beautiful, and they're the main attraction to me. And the plants are there to add a sense of movement and colour. And I'm digressing. So just add your fish slowly, and the filter will be taken in, the actual plants themselves produce waste as well, and bacteria, and the filter will take that in. And as you gradually add your fish, the whole system will become mature, and you don't need to worry about the fishless cycling method by adding an ammonia source. Hopefully that makes sense, and thank you so much for the super chat. We've got another missed super chat from Alex Niebenen, €5. Thank you so much, Alex. I don't know if you asked a question or not. I guess not. Oh, Seb Butcher, thanks Seb, another regular super chat friend. Your 1200 is looking incredible. Sorry about the windscreen. How long does Tropica soil remain nutritious? When will it need nutrition capsules? Good question. I'm gonna have another drink. Oh, I'm really suffering today. Honestly, Father's Day. Sat in my father-in-law's garden with my mother-in-law, my wife, two stepsons, my daughter, and their cousins. And I was just drinking prosecco and champagne all afternoon. And then I thought it'd be a great idea to have a couple of brandies. And then I was thinking, I've got a live stream in an hour. better get ready. So yeah, I'm not as fluid as I normally am, but that's no problem, and I am human. And it is Father's Day, so it's kind of okay. And we're going to move the camera back a touch, and you can see the whole scape there. And I'm going to answer this excellent question from Seb. How long does Tropica soil last? So let's go back to basics. Plants take in nutrients through their leaves and through their roots. The more nutrients you give them through their leaves, the less they're going to take through their roots, and vice versa. So if you didn't give them any fertilizers, liquid fertilizers, they're going to take in more nutrients through their roots. So they're going to deplete the nutrient content from that soil quicker. If you're going to dose every day with a good quality liquid fertilizer, such as Tropica Specialized Nutrition, as I do, then those plants are going to be really well fed through their leaves, and they're not going to take in so much nutrition through their roots. So the soil, the nutrient content of the soil, is going to last a lot longer. So it's not, as with most questions, most kind of answers with plant and aquariums and plant growth, etc., there's no kind of fixed binary answer, X equals Y. There's so many kind of variables, permutations, etc. So just bear that concept in your mind. The more nutrients you give them through their leaves, the less nutrients they take through their roots, the longer that soil is going to last. So just keep an eye on your plants. If you're dosing X amount of fertilizers, liquid fertilizers every day, and you start to see the plants suffering a little bit, then you can do two things. You can add more liquid fertilizer, or you could start to add more nutrition through their roots by adding like nutrition capsules, tropical nutrition capsules. The key thing is just to keep those plants well fed at all times, and how you do that is kind of up to you, how you like to configure your own kind of methodology, and that is that is one of those things that is a personal taste thing. You know, people like Yuri's, he likes to actually add loads of nutrition capsules right at the start of the aquascape, even before he's put any plants in there. He'll actually break apart the capsules and you know, put a layer of these nutrition capsules in the bottom of, or kind of halfway in the layer of the soil, and he doses very little fertilizer, whereas I actually don't add any nutrition capsules at all, almost ever, and I just rely on a good quality liquid fertilizer to feed the plant leaves. So it's definitely up to you, but hopefully that gives you a kind of basic understanding of how the plants work, how they take in their nutrients, and what you might need to do in the future. Thank you for the super chat, Seb, much appreciated. Okay guys, there's 274 of you watching right now, 146 likes. Let's try to get to 200 likes and I'll stay on for a little bit longer. We've got a 20 quid super chat from Horizon. For some hangover treats, we feel your Prosecco hangover pain. Yeah, thanks. Oh, this is my... Oh, I'm going to get a bit emotional in a minute. Deepak Sahi, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This is no slip of the finger. Just keep on what you're doing and inspiring us all. I will continue thanking you at my Instagram posts. Desahi Photography. Whenever I post something on the aquariums, it's my token of appreciation for your humbled approach, your aquascaping. Thank you so much, Deepak. That is massively appreciated. I'm very, very grateful. And, you know, my wife and I, every morning, we have a little ritual where we lie in bed and we say, you know, 3 things that we're grateful for. I think that's really important, you know, gratitude, and that is definitely going to be one of the things I'm going to remember tomorrow. Grateful to my to our, not mine, to our aquascaping community for the generosity, and yeah, I'm super grateful for you, Deepak. Thank you so much. Feel a bit emotional now. My lost Marcus. Hi George, I want to thank you for you everything, because you are in fact for me a real role model, as Mr. Takashi Amano was for you. Yeah, he was, absolutely. It's funny actually. I'm gonna go into a bit of a ramble now. This morning I was on Facebook and I've changed my cover photo of my Facebook profile. I am on Facebook. I have a private account. I don't have a public account. So I think I'm at my 5,000 friend limit, and I get hundreds of private messages a day. So unfortunately, I can't answer everyone. But Crystal Castleman, who is a well-known author, planted aquarium expert, I don't mind plugging a book here. If you've not got it yet, check it out. It's quite expensive. It's about 60 or 70 pounds, 80 bucks. Crystal Castleman Aquarium Plants. So I changed my cover photo on my Facebook profile, and she actually asked where, the photo was of me at Florestas Submersas, which is the world's biggest nature aquarium, created by Takashi Amano before he died I think he created it in 2014. And I visited there about 18 months ago now, and I created this video. And I changed my cover photo on Facebook to this kind of landscape photo of me kind of staring into the tank. And Crystal said, that's a beautiful aquarium, you know, where is it? What is it? You know, is it a public aquarium? And so I explained. And I watched the video back. I've not watched it for ages. I mean, I uploaded it 18 months ago or so, and I probably watched it once or twice since. And I watched it back, and it really gave me goosebumps again, because it took me back to the feeling of what it was to be completely immersed in this slice of nature. That's what's really, I guess that's why I'm here. It's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's why this has been created here. You know, I look around me, I look at these books, I look at this YouTube 100,000, K thing, I look at the photographs and frames that I've got, I'm looking at my Tropic or Aquacube, I'm looking at the live stream now of this, and it's all down to that guy, Takashi Amano. And it was just so powerful, and I watched the video back, and it was actually even more meaningful than it. Tommy, what are you doing? That is in mid-ramble. Come here. Sorry, Tommy's just messing around with a ball, like literally 8 feet away. So yeah, I'm in ramble mode. But just think about what you're doing, guys. With the aquarium hobby, with the aquascaping. Really utilise it to its full potential, and I mean, not from a career perspective or an influence perspective, but just from you looking at your own aquarium. Just connect with it, just on a one-on-one level, and just take it all in and use it to relax. Use it to disconnect from this kind of crazy social media notification driven kind of society we live in. You know, we live in a kind of fight or flight, you know, age where you're getting bombarded constantly by news messages, by notifications on your phone. You know, the languages of kind of almost, it's quite threatening. It's quite, you know, if mainstream media is just full of sensationalism and yeah, it's just quite overwhelming, isn't it? So just aquascaping just really helps to ground you and connect you with nature. And I think the more and more people that can do that, the more and more you can connect with nature, the more and more you kind of take on this responsibility to be kinder to the earth, to be kinder to people. And, you know, I guess the big message is just making the world a better place. You know, whether that's just here and now for the next 10 minutes while you're watching me or this aquarium and just kind of, you know, just chilling out a bit, or on a bigger scale, you know, being a bit more kind of an activist and taking the lead on, you know, on climate change, or, you know, recycling or reusing, or just not using your car so much or not flying so much. You know, I've been on lockdown now for 3 or 4 months, it feels like. Has it been 3 months? And I haven't flown anywhere, I've not really driven anywhere. I haven't filled up my car with fuel since the lockdown, which has been great, saved me loads of money on that. Spent more money on food and stuff, but I've felt really good about not filling my car up with fuel. And it's really given me an opportunity to kind of reconfigure and reset a little bit my kind of business model, I guess. I don't think I will be, I wouldn't say I was obsessed about travelling, but just taking any opportunity I could to travel and work. Whereas now I know I can do a lot of that from home. I can work remotely. You know, I'm creating great content for Tropica and Awaze on their YouTube channels. I've also got great content for my own YouTube channels here. I've written a book pretty much fully from home. You know, maybe that's the future, people working more from home. I'm definitely in ramble mode, aren't I now? I'm going to go back to the screen and see what questions we've got. Okay, good. We've got 293 watching, 203 likes. That's great. Mark's so funny. I can't wait to see Mark. Check out Mark on Instagram, and I guess you're on Facebook, Mark. But he's got a real good sense of humour. I really like him. 250 likes, and George will do 2 more brandy shots. No, not tonight, mate. Yeah, there's some questions about the books, guys, about my book. Yeah, do get it on Amazon if you can. You can get it from Amazon.com if you're from the States, or Amazon.co.uk if you're from the UK. I will be ordering a load of copies for myself to sell on, so signed copies, etc. I'm probably going to give away about 100 copies, signed copies, to people that have helped me through the whole process. And I will sell, you know, have the opportunity to, you can buy signed copies as well. But please don't be, stop that from you pre-ordering from Amazon. You know, I was chatting about this earlier today to my family, and you know, the kind of, the little bit of a contradiction I had, a little bit of a challenge I had in my own kind of, you know, my own moral code. About using Amazon. You know, it's a big topic, and it goes beyond this aquascaping channel. You know, Amazon is a double-edged sword, isn't it? You know, it's so convenient. You can get stuff delivered, you know, next day, even same day, at a really competitive rate. But and that's great for the consumer. But the potential is that it undercuts the small businesses, the kind of family-run, organisations that are being almost ousted by the big kind of corporation that is Amazon. And so I had a real issue with, should I use Amazon as an outlet for my books? Well, the fact is that my publisher are using Amazon. I had no kind of say in it. I couldn't say no as part of the contract. They insisted of using Amazon. It is the biggest kind of book outlet out there, and it would be nonsensical not for me to use that to spread my message. I have to think back to what's my primary goal with all this, and it is to promote aquascaping. It's to make aquascaping more accessible and to promote it to the biggest audience as I can. And Amazon does help to do that. So it's a really complex topic, and there's no, as with everything, as with dealing with algae, choosing the right lights, choosing the right fertilizers, choosing the right store to sell your book. There's no simple right answer. You have to choose what's best for your circumstances at that time. So yeah, there we go. Okay. With the Tommy, yeah, Tommy's so cool. Okay, I got a missed super chat. Do apologise. Ick Bauer, £5 super chat. Hi George, your plant growth is stunning. How important is surface water movement and water flow around the tank for plant growth? Really important. That's quite a simple one. You really need good circulation around the aquarium, because what that's going to do, it's going to distribute that CO2 and the nutrients around the aquarium, hopefully equally, so all of the plants have an equal opportunity to obtain that CO2 or nutrients. The surface agitation is important because it gives better opportunity for gaseous exchange. So you get better oxygen exchange, which is really important for, you need good oxygen levels for the fish, the shrimp, the bacteria in this, there's billions, literally billions of bacteria in here, in the soil, in the filter. So that's why the surface movement is ideal, but you need good overall circulation to get everything as equal opportunity. Now, interestingly, I don't know if you can see on the screen, it's not so prominent on the screen right now, but the plants over here, you're actually getting marginally better growth on the left-hand side than we are on the right. And the reason for that is I have one filter here, the outlet's here, so the CO2 comes across all the way to the front of the tank, so everything's getting fed really well there. It comes around here, so everything's getting fed around here, but by the time it comes back here, there's less CO2 available to these plants here. So that's why the plants on the left are growing a little bit better than the plants on the right. Now what I used to have was, I don't know if you can see me in the shot there, yeah you can. I used to have a filter here, so I used to have the outlet and the inlet there, and I used to have like a gyre effect, so the whole water was kind of circulating around like this really, really effectively. Now I got rid of one filter because I needed to upgrade the filter in the cichlid tank. So I've just got the one filter now, which is fine. I mean, you can see it's great. But ideally, you'd probably use two filters. Now, the disadvantage with having a filter here now would be that the water flow would just be blocked by all of these stem plants here. So it would probably only have marginal benefits if I did fit another filter for extra circulation. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, Ingrid Khan. Hi George, what do you think of Denolay's Nano 30 litre aquarium? Thank you. Yeah, great tank. It's got a curved front, which is quite unique and quite attractive. It's quite a tall aquarium, so I think it's a little bit taller than it is long. So you want to, if you probably just want to stock shrimp, maybe if you did keep a fish, probably just like a betta or some tiny nano fish. But yeah, they're a nice tank, absolutely. David Scapes, can I say the comp that you and Life in a Cube are running is awesome, as it shows how many people are so passionate for the hobby. It's great. Yes, I'm going to give a shout out to that actually. So Candy, I know you're super great on giving links and stuff. On Instagram, there is a contest. It's called hashtag, oh God, I need to get this right. And otherwise I'm going to get in trouble. Hashtag my fish room contest. Oh, I'm going to have to look it up. Just one moment. Whoever dropped that chat. Ah, there we go. The fish room contest. Thank you so much. Yes, hashtag the fish room contest. Go on over to Instagram. If you search for hashtag the fish room contest, then you'll get literally hundreds of really super inspirational living spaces with their aquascapes in them. And the idea is that we're running a bit of a contest. Life in a Cube, who's a creator over in the States, she's come up with this idea. I think Yuri's has helped out as well. But one of the prizes, I'm not sure if it's the only prize or one of the prizes, is a signed copy of the book from me. So if you want a chance of winning a signed copy of my book, then go on over to Instagram, look at the hashtag, the fish room contest, hashtag your image of your tank in your room, and then you could be in with a chance of winning a signed copy of my book. So thanks for the reminder there, David Scapes. That's a really, really great idea. Okay, I'm going to give it another few minutes, guys. Thank you so much for watching so far. Okay, I'm going to go answer another couple of questions before I go. Wessel van der Crash. Hi George, currently struggling with a bit of BBA, most likely due to ambient light in the early morning. Any tips? BBA is a nightmare. It's basically caused by too much organic waste, poor maintenance. So just do more water changes, I would suggest. You could maybe just get rid of it, just spot dose it with some hydrogen peroxide or XL. If you are getting ambient light in the morning, maybe take measures to avoid that. But if you have lots of plants in there, they should be able to use that ambient light more than the BBA. So my suggestion is to really focus on the maintenance. Mary Page Flynn, thank you so much. I have to give a shout out to Mary. She always gives the best comments, feedback on my videos. So I really appreciate you, Mary. Thank you very much. Dan John, thanks George, you're learning so much and really helpful. You're welcome, my pleasure. Deepak Sahi, thanks to all the admins and facilitators of these live sessions. It's a great community that George is building. I hope so. And on that note, I'm going to say a cheerio, because it's been, an hour and 10 minutes or so. So it's time to say bye-bye. I wonder if Florence wants to say cheerio as well. Or you, Florence? It's Father's Day. You look fine. Tommy's here as well. Grab Tommy. Let's we'll go over this way, and then everyone can see. If you, sit in the seat. This is Florence, everyone, and Tommy. This is my lovely daughter. Florence used to be on my early videos. Do you remember?
Yeah. I don't think he wants to stir.
Oh, you're a bit fidgety.
He wants to
Oh, let him go. Yeah, let him go. So Florence maintained my Oase
Yeah.
Highline 175, the cichlid tank,
Cleaned the rocks.
with an electric toothbrush.
Yeah.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Fun.
Yeah.
Wait, I can see myself in the thing.
Yeah. So it's Father's Day. Florence made me the most epic Father's Day card. Shall I read what it says?
If you want.
Shall I won't cry.
You probably.
Happy Father's Day. Thank you for everything you do for me, always being there. It's a bit embarrassing.
Yeah.
And always providing me with endless amounts of life advice. I don't know what I'd do without you. I'm so lucky to have a dad like you. I love you very much. Oh, friends. Okay, on that note, guys, cheerio from me, cheerio from Florence.
Cheerio.
Thanks for watching. Keep on scaping. Cheerio. She doesn't watch enough of my videos to know what I do.
Cheerio.